First, since I was a member of the parliament and I left, Zelensky asked for help. It's my job, just as a man, to protect my country. She was crying, but she understands they both were killed. I was convinced that this is, I'm gonna die. This is not only Ukrainians' war. This is basically all of Europe. Our biggest enemy is Russia. We'll do it as long as it takes until we kick them out of here. The love for the values that both Sweden and Ukraine share is my motivation to do it.
You're watching UATV English. My name is Anna Nytchenko. Hello and welcome. And today my guest is the big friend of Ukraine, Caroline Nordengrip. Hello and welcome, Caroline.
Thank you so much.
Caroline was a politician. Now she's a warrior. Now she protects Ukraine. She was a politician in Sweden. How it happened this way that now you are here?
From the beginning, it was very easy decision. I would say my brain basically left me no choice.
Easy decision to go and fight?
Yes, it was. I've been a politician because I want to protect the values, both in Sweden, the West values, and when it was these values was threatened due to the full-scale invasion, and I am a trained soldier, and Zelensky asked for help. It was not a hard decision for me to go, because it was needed boots on the ground here.
Your first days here in Ukraine, I'm sure that you remember them.
It was kind of chaotic the first days in Ukraine because it was not easy with the contracts. Also, the base in Lviv was blown up, which make it even more chaotic. And the Swedes, we went a group of Swedes here at the same time. So we were split up to different tasks.
What about your experience in Swedish Army?
I've been first when I was 19. I did my conscript, 11 months. And after that, I have a few years in the National Guard as infantry.
Mm-hmm. Why? Why you had this experience? Why you joined Swedish Army?
For me, during that time, it was not mandatory for females to join the army. But I think it's my job, just as a man, to protect my country. So it was the same. It was an easy decision, so I joined.
But protecting your country in your country, it's one thing. But protecting from Russian invasion in Ukraine, it's another thing. What does it mean for you now?
In Sweden, basically, we are trained to fight our enemy, and our biggest enemy is Russia. So for me to fight Russia in Ukraine, in Sweden, I don't know why I trained as a soldier basically all my grown-up life if I'm not going to use it when this threat is for real.
Why Russia is enemy now for Sweden, for Europe?
They try to, of course, take over countries, changing our way of living until their way of living. And for me, their way of living is not an alternative. Not for Ukraine, not for Sweden. Every country should decide themselves what they want to do. And Sweden don't want this, Ukraine don't want this. So fighting for our way to decide ourselves is important.
Sometimes Russian propaganda says Europe or USA are tired from Ukraine, from protecting Ukraine. What can you say about this?
I cannot, of course, answer for other countries, but for Sweden, we are not tired of this. We have 100% support from Sweden, from Swedish politicians, and from the Swedish population that we will support Ukraine, and I will do it as long as it takes until we kick them out of here.
We're really thankful. I mean, our country, our people are really thankful for your country, for this support. And we are thankful that such people like you come here change their life, come here and protect. First of all, you protect us, Ukrainians. Then you protect Europe and you protect Sweden. But now you are here. You see death every day, but nevertheless, you continue being here. And I think it's a big honor, and we're really thankful for this. But aren't you scared being here?
I would say no, because you need to make that decision for yourself before you leave. You know there is a possibility that you will not come back. If you don't accept that, then you shouldn't be here, because a scared soldier is no good.
Were there such situations when you said inside your mind, said goodbye to your life, to your relatives, just thinking about this?
I have been in situations where I was convinced that this is, I'm gonna die. But for me, that will not change anything, because you need to accept that this could happen.
Can you describe this situation?
We went into an ambush, and everything that I can understand from the radio was that Russians are coming down to our trenches, and they were more than we were. And I also thought that the other Swedish guy that was with us and our translator, they both were killed, because my Ukrainian is, I speak some Ukrainian, but not that good that I understand all of it. But they were just badly wounded, both of them.
How you communicate if you don't have translator?
It is a problem, because when I did my front time, I did not have any translation. So we had a problem when me and my combat partner were out and we'd been shelled, and we tried to figure out what way to go, and I didn't understand anything. So after that incident, we started every morning, of course, with morning exercise, but during the morning exercise, we also did front, back, up, down, shoot, cover, all of this, both in English and in Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm. I know that your decision to go here in Ukraine was supported by the Sweden Democrats and members of parliament from other parties. But what about your friends, relatives? Did they support such a decision?
Of course, my mother was not very happy when I was leaving, but I was so convinced about this was the right things to do, so no one actually tried to stop me, because they know that they could not have stopped me. So even my husband, when I called him and tell him I'm leaving in 2 days, and I haven't said anything to him, and he said, well, are you going to Ukraine and work? And I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to join the army. And it was quiet for a few times, because he was abroad working. So he know that he will not see me before I go. And he said that, well, I'm surprised that you haven't left already.
How you communicate now with your husband?
We communicate good. It's not a problem that I'm here. Of course, when I went home after over a year, he was a little bit crispy the first days, but he's okay with me working in Ukraine now, so it's not a problem.
What about your mom? I think she's really scared. Does she cry because you are here?
First time when I was leaving and packing up my stuff, because you need to give back the Swedish uniform before you go. So a friend was over at my house taking my uniform back to the army, and that moment she realized it was for real. So yeah, she was crying, but she understands. But of course she's afraid, because during the beginning of the war, no one basically know. It's not like now that the front line are quite solid and not moving very fast. Then still everything was moving very fast, and the information was not 100%, so you know. And also, it was not that you have that you can speak to her and tell where you are and what you're doing, because it was not safe. So when I left, I didn't speak with her for days and weeks.
It's really hard for relatives, for native people, just to let your beloved one to another country where is the war.
Yeah, I can understand it's hard for them.
What about your friends? What they say? They message you, they ask, do they say, oh my God, you're crazy, what are you doing?
First, since I was a member of the parliament and I left, I basically didn't tell anyone. Only a few persons know that I was leaving, because, of course, that's not, how should I say, an easy thing. And also, it's good that it was not known that there was a member of the parliament in Ukraine, of course. So I basically left and no one know. Not even the media figured out that I was here. So it was almost funny when you can read in the Swedish newspaper that Zelensky are speaking to a full parliament. But you can also see in the picture that was taken that my seat was empty.
And what about Swedish media?
It's a long time before I took media. It was first when I signed up with the 47 Brigade that I actually needed to give out my real name because I went here in a fake name, Alex. So no one knows my name. It was only my commander from Sweden that knows what actually my name and my occupation was. So no one knows. But then I decided that, yes, I'm going to take one interview. And, well, it went quite big.
You had visited Ukraine before being a politician?
No.
No? It was the first time, your first visit during the war here in Ukraine?
Yes.
What was it like speaking to Ukrainians, communicating with Ukrainians, being in this country? What were the people like?
In the beginning, mostly you spoke with foreigners. But since I've been in the 47 Brigade, it was basically only Ukrainians. Few of the instructors were foreigners. But usually I say with people, if they treat their animal good, they are good people. And Ukrainians are good people. And Ukraine is a good country, so it's worth fighting for. Been here for in total over 1.5 years, and I will continue to be here.
What is the best in Ukrainians for you?
I think we share a lot of common values, sense of humor, caring about each other. So for me, getting Ukrainian friends and things like that, it's never a problem. I feel comfortable and I feel almost like at home.
Speaking about common values, how you explain, how maybe your politicians in your country explain that other countries should protect Ukraine, should support Ukraine, because there is lots of Russian propaganda, and they try to explain their truth. How can you explain to people that Ukraine really needs this support? Europe needs this support.
This is not only Ukrainians' war. This is basically all of Europe's war. That we need to, as I said, most of us have the same enemy, if you put it that way. So we need to make sure that Russia, once and for all, do not have power to go into other countries.
What was the most awful, seeing all the atrocities that Russia did?
I went to Bucha directly when it was released, so I don't think I need to explain in details. But yes, it was war crimes happened there, of course. I've been speaking to Russian prisoners, and they, tell me that, because I asked them, what are you told that you're allowed to do with Ukrainian prisoners? And they say that, we're allowed to do whatever we want, cut their finger, cut their ear. They don't care. So war crimes is a way of try to scare the Ukrainians to be afraid of the Russians.
What are the Russians like for you? Not animals, not people, creatures.
I think what the Russian, how should I say, it's the Russian politics that create all of this, to putting their people on the propaganda, to have this view of try to take over other countries to force their values into other people. So, yeah, their politicians can go to hell.
What about the punishment? And punishment for whom? For soldiers, Russian soldiers, for Putin, for whom should be? What kind of punishment?
We have laws of war, and that should be everywhere. So I didn't think that they should be broken by Ukrainians. That's what makes the difference between Ukrainian and Russians, that Ukrainians are not animal. They didn't behave like animal, and they shouldn't. So the rules of war should be followed. Punishment for the Russian the politics, yeah, they can rot in somewhere. I don't care.
Being a woman on the war, just life, your daily life, your problems.
I don't see I have any problems in the front line, in the base, wherever we are, because I never experienced that I have a problem. Actually, it's quite funny sometimes because I'm tactical and physical instructor, and if we do physical training, I would say I'm stronger than most of the Ukrainians. But after the training session is done, they will not let me carry my own backpack because they want to treat me as a lady. So it's kind of funny.
What about, by the way, Lee Naylor, when you see foreigners in Ukraine, which also protect Ukraine, when you see people from your country, like Lee from Great Britain, does it help you some way? Or it's just communication, friends, and it doesn't depend on nation and on country?
I think it's important that all nations is here because it's showing the support that Ukraine has in the world. So seeing different countries, if they are from Colombia, from Norway, from Sweden, when you see the flags on their arms, I think it can help the Ukrainian soldiers to keep on fighting because they know they have support. So I think it's important.
Sometimes people say, why we should give money, our money to some another country? Why we should give just weapon to another country? We should protect ourselves. What do you think about this question?
To have war in your own territory is the worst thing you can do. No country wants that. And if we're not giving weaponry or we're not giving money, then Ukraine will have a really hard time. So I'm very not happy that it took so long time before the country is actually starting to step up. And I think it can go faster even now to be able to hit in Russian territory and a lot of these things. If the country will snap up directly when the full-scale invasion happened, I didn't think that we would have a war today.
But does everyone really realize the consequences of this invasion of Russia?
No. I think the countries closest to Ukraine understand the best. And as far as away you come in distance, I think it will be harder. And it also depends if countries themselves have been in war to be able to set into the situation. So sometimes when I see it, I almost think if it's politics or if they really care. So it's almost, you need to wait until the front line goes in the wrong direction before politics, oh crap, we need to do something. And that's cost a lot of lives to have that mindset, which I don't like.
You were a politician for a long time. How it helps you now communicating with Ukrainian politicians, communicating with politicians in Sweden, because diplomacy really helps on front line, because diplomacy gives us weapon, at least.
Yeah, of course it helps because you have a lot of contacts and also my party and also from different parties ask me, how about this? Is it that way? What is true? What do they need? And basically I say, buy weapons for everything, because that's what they need. Because it sounds odd, but weapon saves lives.
I had a friend in 47th Brigade. Maybe you know him. Anna Nytchenko. His call sign was Dnipro.
No, I don't know.
You didn't know. He was in 47th Brigade, and he died last year, protecting our country, died like a hero. Speaking about such hard situations, what inspires you? What helps you? What gives you this power to go on and on?
For me, it's the decision in my head is made up. So the most important thing is to remember why I'm here. I promised myself before I left that the day I'm fighting because I hate what's in front of me, instead of loving what's behind me, I will not fight anymore. Because as being a soldier, it sounds very horrible, but being a soldier is a job. And everyone needs to fight for the special task that they have been given. So the love for the values that both Sweden and Ukraine share is my motivation to do it.
We have audience in Sweden. We have possibility now to say something to them. If I ask you to tell them something about support of Ukraine, something about invasion of Russia in Ukraine, and something about Ukraine being a shield of Europe, what will you say? You just can't say it on the camera.
Basically, I would say that it's very important, doesn't matter if you're from Sweden or any country, that you need to support the politicians to make this decision, because it's not easy decisions, because it's cost money, tax money. You take from your own weaponry to send it to Ukraine, but it's only that support that will make the difference in the end. So, and also, of course, you can support what donations, whatever way can you support, but your mindset is the biggest support.
And you just even may say something, 2-3 sentences in Swedish, just saying to your audience, to your people in your country.
Ja, men då kan vi säga ungefär samma sak. Det är viktigt att vi håller upp stödet till Ukraina. För utan det stödet till Ukraina så kommer det inte att gå. Och det här är långsiktigt. Så att stöd politikerna att göra det valet som de måste göra, för det är inget lätt val. Det här kostar pengar, det kostar tid. Vi kommer använda våran försvarsmaktsresurser för ett krig här nere. Men vi delar samma fiende och det är viktigt att vi stödjer det här.
Beautiful language.
Oh, thank you.
What do you know in Ukrainian? What can you say in Ukrainian? Can I ask you something? Як ваші справи?
Моя українською погана.
And what about this attitude from grannies, from old people, from young people, from Ukrainians in general who are not military, to you, to another military people? What can you see?
I would say mostly they come up, especially when I was in media here in Ukraine. I was recognized for some time, and a lot of people came up to me, give me a hug, crying, telling about the loved ones that has been killed. Very thankful for us being here. So,
what do you feel at this moment when they hug you, when they say thank you?
I feel like I want to do more, of course. But for me, what I do, I feel is kind of small compared to their losses and what they are going through. This is your country. See it being torn apart. Just a few minutes ago, we have bombs all over Kyiv, rockets, and
Do you realize that, yeah, Ukraine suffers, Ukrainians suffer, but do you realize that such people like you exactly are heroes? Because you are not scared of Russian invasion, you are not scared of bombs, you came here and you protect these people.
There are a lot of heroes. They are all over the front line. So only together that we can make this happen. So all of these heroes protecting Ukraine, if they're from UK, if they're from Sweden, or if they are Ukrainians, this is our task together to defend our values and the Ukrainian people.
You mentioned that your mom cried.
Yeah.
Do you cry?
No, I don't. Of course, I cry once in a while, but it's not that I think it's wrong to cry. I just don't have that. It's not in me to cry because it's not helping.
It won't help in the fight,
No.
just crying. Mm-hmm. What will be after the victory, after Ukrainian victory? What will you do?
Help rebuilding. Work with democracy and development, anti-corruption, whatever needed to help with. So what knowledge do I have that could help Ukraine?
Will you stay here in Ukraine or will you go back to Sweden after the victory?
I think I will do both. So I will probably work in Ukraine, but live in Sweden.
For two countries, just go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for this interview. It was UATV in English. See you.